Kyle here from allmediareviews.blogspot.com. Here to do a relatively brief review of the King's X concert I saw last evening from Nashville. It was at the Brooklyn Bowl, I believe. They did a live stream. I just learned about it on Friday. Let's see here. I just learned about it on Friday, and I mean, it's becoming more and more. I was on a site called fans.fm, which I don't know if that's going to be. I mean, there's Stage It, there's the Facebook Live stuff, Instagram a little bit, YouTube. I don't know if streaming live music is going to have like a standard way, or it's just going to be sort of, like a big buffet of options, kind of like the streaming services have become in a way. It'd be nice to sort of have a standard, but it wasn't particularly for a stream particularly cheap, although I have access for 2 weeks, so I could still watch it again. It was a good performance. The first thing I learned after the show, I just looked it up at this place. I've obviously never been to Nashville. It's a place that my wife and I may think about going to, the museum there, the Stax Record, I think it is. Stax Record Museum is there. I think it's either there in Memphis. Anyway, it's a place that's actually not that far. It wouldn't be that. We could drive there in a day to see at some point. I might, but anyway, it's called the Brooklyn Bowl, Nashville, Tennessee, and the capacity is like 1,200 people. And King's X. I'm reading the book, and I've stopped because I'm trying to catch up in my whole album series, which I'll try to do one later today. But, they played to some big crowds, especially when they were open for the likes of AC/DC, Anthrax. They opened for a lot of different bands that, I think they opened for Striper at one point. Anyway, Scorpions maybe. They opened for a bunch of bands where they played in front of big crowds. Themselves, they've had their levels of large, but in the Twin Cities here, that I know of, the biggest crowd they probably played in front of probably was at First Avenue when I saw them. I mean, maybe one of the earlier shows. I looked it up, but my guess is that might have been. They played at at the Quest and everything too, but I don't know, like the size of First Avenue versus the Quest was Glam Slam, was Princess Club, the Quest, and now it's not really a club anymore. I think it turned into one, then it stopped. I don't know. I forget the name. It had it's called like Epic at one point, but anyway, the point being is that was 1,200 people. The last few times I saw King's X, it wasn't even half that many people here. Now, I think maybe part of it is they've gained a little bit of attention of late because of the new album, obviously. The first album in 14 years, Three Sides of One. And the whole loss of like regular live music. And they've toured some the last decade. Health issues have hurt that. Jerry had 2 heart attacks, and Ty Tabor just recently has had some medical issues, and that's why they can't be touring extensively, and they had an offer to go to Europe, and they can't do it, I guess. But, 12, I don't know if it was full house, but it was probably at least 1,000 people, and it's like, at First Avenue when they were here, they probably had close to 1,000, but everyone there was pretty low. I mean, it was your standard kind of demographic. It was mostly middle-aged white men. There were some women there, but, as a whole, this is in Tennessee, in Nashville or whatever, but so be it. The metalheads and the rock people. The set list itself, I just looked at it, and it included, I think, 7 songs from Three Sides of One. The ones that you might predict: All God's Children, Flood Part 1, Nothing But the Truth, Give It Up, Let It Rain, Festival, and Watcher. Watcher was the one I didn't really necessarily anticipate, but I think I'd heard that they were definitely playing, even before the album came out. They'd done some tour dates over the summer, I can't remember. Before the album came out, they did a few shows, and they played Let It Rain, Give It Up, and Festival. I think those were the 3 ones they definitely were going to play, but they're playing like, what's that? So that's 6 or 7. All Got You Flood, Nothing But the Truth, Give It Up, Let It Rain. Yeah, it's 7 tracks. So, and the new songs, I think some of them are actually better live, which isn't that unusual for King's X. I would still say the biggest highlights for me live to see were stuff like Let It Rain and Festival, those 2. Give It Up is a good energetic song also live, but the rest of the set list, A lot of standards and a few lesser knowns. And I don't know if they're doing the identical set list, but mostly Groove Machine. Vegetables become it's a favorite of mine, but it's become a kind of a standard live. Um, and We Were Born to Be Loved. We Were Born to Be Loved is kind of in a way become like the new Over My Head. They just have to play that song. It's become super popular. It was popular back in the day. I don't know if it was the fact when the Late Show was playing it kind of made it even more popular, but they have to play it, even though it's not a short piece. Um, and then they had Dog Man, King, and Goldilocks for the encore. So those are all songs that they played regularly, which you love them. I love all those songs. Then they include The World Around Me, Pillow. Pillow is not one. I know they play a little bit. I think that fits well with like a song like Flood from the new record, though. So Flies in Blue Skies from Dogman. I don't know. They've played it, but not as often as some others. And then Pray from. So this is a spoiler alert, of course, from XV. So yeah, I mean it was cool to see them live. They're not coming to Minneapolis, so that was part of my motivation, even though it wasn't cheap. But it was great to see them. To see them play. I mean, I think some of these shows are probably up on YouTube, so that you can go watch them. But I know it's through a third party, the streaming service, but it's still helping the band out, and we may see more streams like this in the future for them and for other bands. So, but yeah, have you seen King's X live on their current tour? Have you caught any of the videos? What's your impression of some of the new music live, the new stuff off the new album? I haven't really done any official. I made comments, official reviews. When I get to that album, that will be sort of the official review, I guess, which will be in a couple weeks, probably once I'm finally finished with the King's X series, the album review series. But yeah, what's your thoughts on What are your thoughts if you did see them live? What were your thoughts on just to hear them? I mean, clearly Doug, doesn't have the vocal range he once did. Even the last time I saw them was like, I want to say it was 2016, 2015, something like that. Let's just see here. I have my list. Let's see here. It wasn't that long ago. I mean, I saw them. I've seen them like 10 or 11 times. 2006, 2009, 2012. It was 16. August of 16, like a month before my wedding. It's like I went to that show and I didn't go to the Deer Hunter show. How many times did I see them? I mean, I always think that this isn't fully accurate. 96. So I was thinking after that, I was thinking about tonight, about King's X being such a great live band. And I've seen so many shows. I've done the concert memories. I might try to do a list of, instead of being a top 10, just do 10 of my favorite live acts and just talk about the history. But just as a sort of preamble or just a mini version of that, yeah, I saw them 96 and 98, 99, that's 3. Then I saw them in 2000, so it was like once every year for like a 5-year period. I saw them 4 out of 5 years. I saw them in 2001, so 5 out of 6. 2002, 6 out of 7. 2003, 7 out of 8. 2004, 8 out of 9. 2005, 9 out of 10. 2006, 10 out of 11. That was, yeah, okay. And then I saw, it was a gap there. The first 11 years I was a fan. I saw them 10 times. Because the whole thing, and it happened with Fair to Midland and Mute Math, where coming here was easy to do because it was a straight shot north. So, anyway. 10 out of 11, and then 2009 was my 11th time. I think that might be... No, and then I saw them with Kansas. 12, so it's 13 times. And I haven't seen them since 2016. So 13 times, yeah. But yeah, they were kind of my first sort of regular go-to, like almost believe. And I always felt like very personal seeing them live as opposed to seeing Rush, of course. Even Dream Theater, after the first couple times I saw them, I felt a little bit more disconnect because I always felt like there were masses of people trying to meet the band and hang out with the band. And with King's X, it never was hard to do that. It was always so easy to get in. I mean, I would hang around and I would stay up late then. I was younger. That was part of it. But 13 times. I mean, it's almost it kind of weird because it was a different era. It wasn't that long ago, but I've only seen them once in the last whatever it is, twice in the last 10 years, and once headlining. But I was seeing them so often regularly, that sort of thing went on to happen with these other bands. Like I said, Fair to Midland and Mute Math were maybe the two biggest. A few others as well. Ours to a point recently, but anyway, so yeah, that's kind of my King's X spiel on the show on their current tour. They're going to do more touring, I guess, next year to support the record and everything. And then there was an interview with Doug he's done many interviews, but one of them on my friend Heavy Debriefings's Josh Runquist, formerly that drummer guy. Doug, he asked Doug about touring, and he said he had they have a lot of songs that they didn't, because this album that just came out, Three Sides of One, was potentially going to be a double. So there's another album probably in the works, not that long from it. Could be another year or two, maybe even less, maybe next year. But the thing that has not been brought up still, which I mean to bring up look on the website of this documentary, which they delayed because they needed to figure out their label situation for their new album, because probably the documentary has music. A little bit like the King Crimson documentary I just talked about. I think it's a lot to do with a lot of footage of them on tour from recent tours and behind the scenes. So anyway, but thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed. But if you have subscribed, I really thank you for that. And we'll see you next time.